If this works during a Mercury retrograde cycle, great. If it doesn't, we may have to start again, or I might have to turn the air conditioner off. And I do tend to interfere with technology because I'm psychic, so it makes it worse. Anyway, for those of you who are new, a very warm welcome. And those of you returning, welcome back. Okay, a three-part series. This morning I got up and I'm like, okay, we need to be looking at the energies. And I had some downloads. I had some time to meditate. I pulled the cards and I tuned into it. And I talked to Giggle this morning. Hello, Giggle. And I said, you must watch this video. You must watch this video. It's very unique. And I do feel it is directly linking into the energy at the moment with the sun and the moon. Now, the sun, this is a reading connecting in for divine masculine. And the reason I've done it in a three-part energy, after all videos, you can go back and watch the next one and the next one. And after each session, I will answer questions in Super Chat for $10 a question, so that we can micromanage this and get through to the end, because I do have to do the moon updates, and hopefully I will be doing them per element. So I've already done the background information, etc. Now, they are in the King of Swords energy. Now, this morning I did see a few signs, and one of them, on a sign, I was seeing Solaris, and I was like, okay, sun energy. Yes, it is. It's the Latin term for sun. And currently the sun is in Pisces, and the yellow energy in the chakra is all connecting with inner child. And when I did talk in the previous video, so if you haven't seen the previous video, go and have a look at it. And that's linking in with the masculine energy, and from what mindset they come from and what's going on with the collective of the twin flames. The sun energy at the moment, they are navigated by the solar plexus as well as Mercury, which is interesting because directly speaking at the moment we do have Mercury retrograde, or in shadow rather, so it does kind of amp up by about the 9th more so. And also with the Mercury retrograde, Mercury also is in Pisces, so it's deeply psychic energy, it's deeply up in their mind. It can be a very destabilizing energy, but it's also, sometimes we need that frequency to get to a place where we delve into the deep. And I did speak about the wounds when we experience wounds. Sometimes, especially being a psychic medium and an energy healer, I have noticed with transitional states with me, when I know there is a block and it's really heavy and you're like, wow, that's good. You're not really wanting to go into it. It's there. It's been nagging at you for a very long time. You know that when you do dive in, it's going to feel disgusting. And that's really the frequency of what masculine's going through right now. The interesting thing is what I have actually noted, and for those masculines that potentially could be watching this, if you're really stuck, I can directly understand and have compassion towards you. But the thing of what you've got to realize is when it's really large, it means a deeply transformative state, which is huge. So whatever this is, it is going to cause a massive shift for the collective as well as for masculine energies collectively. It's a very unique time we're moving into. Some of us can feel very lagged, and especially when we're having ascension symptoms. Males may be feeling very tired at the moment, very unmotivated, and it's almost like it becomes an energy vampire on your soul because there are things that are unresolved. I also saw the term karmic, and I was like, oh God, because ironically enough, to tune into the reasons why, initially when I pulled the read, it was looking at what's going on with masculines, what are their mindset. Then it was what are their thoughts directly connected to divine feminine. And then I saw a very interesting shift, and I thought, okay, there's external energies directly impacting this. So I pulled karmic frequency. Karmic can be many things, guys. So sometimes it can be a belief system, a spiritual block, conditioning, especially with the nodes being in Cancer and Capricorn. And then there's also the other elements that, does that person have a disposition to being very chained to cash? Is it really a condition of a family related dynamic? Again, Karmic energy can be many things. You know your twin, and they will directly know the things that they're dealing with. So nevertheless, I'll read it from that format in a very broad sense, and you need to connect the dots where it fits or get a private reading. I also have pulled a separate section which I'll integrate all three sections, and that's the external situations that are causing this mindset. Now, I do feel very deeply that the Pisces energy coming through, we even talked about the distortion of the energy moving into next month. Now, some of us that are deeply intuitive will be feeling that, including the collective, but we subconsciously don't understand these things if we don't understand the aspect of astrology, the chakra systems. You know, the chakra systems are inside us, which is very important to understand. So, you know, a lot of times when something's going on in the matrix, I already know from the perspective that I've integrated the planetary aspects and I know where they're coming from, and definitely knowing your nodes. If you know your birth node, you know, your true north and you know, the south, you can then look at it and see where both energies are supposed to be moving towards, and it's quite informative on a soul path. Now, with the Chiron energy, if you know your twin's Chiron placement, or you personally know your Chiron placement, it's going to really help because you're, as I explained to Giggle, hi Dale, the energy of Chiron, being the wounded healer, is it's theoretically a comet and it's ice, and when the sun interacts with it, which is what's going on right now, is a very transformative energy, because as ice melts, it turns to gas, which is very deeply spiritual. So really looking at your Aries and Chiron placement, I do know that I mentioned it in January's reads. I have mentioned it in February's reads. So even at the general sense, if you look at that and you understand your placement, it's going to help you in your zodiac sign. Understand that you are here to trigger other people, but you also, if there's an area, for instance, I'll get a zodiac sign. I'll give you an example. Aries, for instance. Okay, so if you're an Aries, at the moment, Chiron happens to be in Aries, which is the first house. So at a collective level, we are looking at how it directly affects us and how it affects other people, but it's first house placement. So you're looking at situations from the perspective of healing yourself. The Chiron and Aries placement, they will become healers of themselves. And it's really fine-tuning that to an art where you are looking at something and understanding that, you know, it's taking great accountability, but you're able to actually heal yourself. And in turn, it might have been something of a subject matter that has been a wound that you've only had yourself to depend on, that when you revert it back and you're looking at it and the trigger comes up, what's actually happening is through other people seeing you do such, you're motivating them to take direct accountability and have a lack of codependency on themselves and really to look inside themselves. And the other level, if you had an energy of, you know, marriages, contracts, partnerships, and that was a lot of adversity that you went through, you then directly become a teacher to other people. Let's get into the read. Now, masculine at the moment is very much in a King of Swords energy, and this is very orientated to leveling up, getting things done, sorting things out. Hi, Dale. And looking at things from a very different perspective, okay? This is where their energy is. So it might be they're feeling quite detached or looking quite detached. It's because the energy has been drawn that way, because the frequency that is around them at the moment is really needing to be dealt with. So very similar to a female energy that feels a little bit triggered. Yeah, hi, Dale. When a feminine energy is triggered, sometimes to avoid that frequency and to stay grounded, we tune into work and we really focus on work and the situations at hand. So they're having a lot on their plate and they're having to dive into that situation. They're also needing to more delegate tasks. Let me see what else I'm getting. As I said, this morning I saw Solaris and I also saw Karmic written on a sign. There was also no ability to physically move forward. I saw a stop sign, and it was like almost this pause. Now, the Leo energy is the strength, but it's the strength from within. So many people with all this Pisces energy can become quite distorted. And when I say that, if you don't have purpose and you don't know what you're trying to achieve, it's going to take you undone. It's going to be extremely important this year to stay in the vibration of 4. So I'm going to be doing numerology so that I can help you guys keep as grounded as possible and use the energy to your advantage. They're being very tactical. They're trying to, they've got a lot coming at them. So there's a lot coming at them, but they're having to delegate things. And it's not one given area, but the large area that has been placed on pause is what has been causing them to be in this energy. Now, it is positive and negative because there's yin and yang in every situation. I do feel it's due to the fact that they have to be right now. So in their own lives, the King of Swords energy is cutting through 2 situations, and no sooner have they dealt with something, are they needing to directly deal with something else. So it doesn't energetically at first feel very deeply romantic. They're not romanticizing things. They're seeing the stark reality of things and having to be very detached to handle that in a very pragmatic way. In the past tense position, there was this energy, and they're almost nostalgically looking at it, of the ignorance of it as well as the nostalgia of it. Now, when I'm talking about that, Page of Wands in reverse. Now, the ignorance in a sense that, had we known, maybe we wouldn't have done things in the way that we had done. Potentially the people they invested in, deep down, they really maybe had some signs, and this could have been a person, it could have been a place, it could have been a job, or even their attitudes towards divine feminine, but really towards themselves. Because when we do tune into energies, we need to very separately understand there are reasons why we do things, and definitely with the Aries and Chiron energy, it'll give you a subject matter, because over the next 8 years, each zodiac sign will be really working on that. You will be teaching them something, they will be teaching you something, and anyone directly in their sphere will be an upgrade of your energy. The immaturity of energies around them is really triggering them, and at a karmic level, it's very distasteful in their mouth. Potentially in the past, they may have been able to deal with that. But now it feels I'm hearing the term very distasteful, very uncomfortable, very frustrating, that potentially some adversity may have been avoided had they been able to see a situation for what it really was. They did prematurely really make a decision in the past, and it has had a lot of karma directly connected to it. So it's affecting them, and it's making them feel quite repulsed by the frustration of the energy, the disbelief that potentially they didn't see that way. Somebody potentially has painted themselves in a very different light in their life than what they ever ended up to be. Also, at a very newer state, it was like a repetitive cycle in a karmic frequency of a lesson, which we all directly go through, of a pattern where they're balancing the give and take now in their life, and they're looking at things and they're thinking, right, okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. I'm seeing a synchronistic pattern. And again, I am feeling this very emotional energy, where the epiphany of it is deeply baffling them that they didn't see it before. But it was because they were in a healing mode that this occurred. It's almost like vampire energy. The laws of attraction, and I know personally for me, it's really ironic. Being an empath, and this is what masculines will go through as well, the laws of attraction are, when we have a belief about ourselves, we actually directly attract the same energy. So if you're feeling... Hi, Amanda. If you're feeling the energy of, I'm really having a bad day, BS be coming towards you. You know, it's like this magnet, and it's like you're thinking, God, you know, I feel like a leper right now. I'm not really in a good place, and everything be coming at me. And this is why they're in this energy, because it's got to stop. They're really wanting to stop it, and they're really going to come to a understanding with their mind at the moment. They're in the third eye. And I'm seeing, especially with the Leo energy, it is sun, but it's very ego energy oriented. It's very masculine frequency. So they are in their own element to understand and comprehend, but they're also seeing where there's flaws in these situations, and they're seeing the mirror of these energies in other people. I do feel potentially in the past, if they did end up taking a leap of faith with another individual, it did end up bringing them to this place. Any situation in their life where they feel they put energy into, and it's a lot of areas, it's not one, okay? It's not just a karmic, it's not just, it's in general energy, and it's, I don't even want to swear because, you know, I'm monetarized, but it's, you know, so it's this constant frequency of BS where they're looking at it going, I can't believe I keep putting energy in, but I'm directly not getting anything out. Like, this is unstable. This foundation is going to constantly break. It was broken years ago. And I'm hearing the term, we didn't start the fire. It's always been burning. Okay? It's been this cycle in this karmic energy for them of they're really frustrated, very similar to feminines, that they just want to be happy. So they're really knowing that where they're going is definitely not that. It's just not going to work for them anymore. So this Tower moment is the epiphany of such, and really trying to work through the matrix of how they can shift the pieces of puzzles into place. But this death of the ego energetically, it's clarity, you know. The frustration in ascension symptoms is when you hit a snag in the road, and we all have been through this, males and females in our own life. Go back to reality 3D. When you're deeply frustrated about something, you get exhausted to the point you're looping over it in your head, and that was another sign I saw this morning. It was the roundabout sign, and it was just going around and around. It's like stuck in a loop, stuck in a coil, and that's very much karmic frequency. When we're purging and we're trying to find a way through, we almost feel punished to the point where no doors are open, and we're thinking, are we on the wrong path? Have we done the right thing? Maybe this isn't meant to be. Have I done something wrong? Maybe I'm out of alignment. And you're psychoanalyzing it. It's getting particularly 3D. When you don't know too much about spirituality, you don't need to, because all you need to do is see patterns, and you know what happens. What happens? You get tired because you're not finding a solution. People aren't working with you. Situations aren't panning out. Tower moments keep happening to a point. You can do this for a while, which is wise, but they're realizing they've had to step into this energy because it's coming at them like a vampire. But at some point, they're going to get that these energies that don't want to work with them, that are short-lived, short-term goals, never really getting any rewards out of them, very one-sided energy, not even getting off the ground, that it's just, they've seen it, they know, they're not stupid, they've got their own minds. And particularly if there are cross-watchers, these can even be karmics watching these videos. They need to grasp the concept that we all have our own mind, and masculine has reached this on their own, and it's through no part of any other human being. I had a very interesting conversation the other day with the masculine, and they were asking me to help them with something, and it wasn't my masculine. And in that situation, they were asking me to talk to a partner. And I said, but no, that's you and that's that person. You know, the art of communication, and we are moving into that next month, is very much that we need to be understanding. We can't manipulate the matrix. We can't manipulate people. People have their own brains. No, but not feminine, not masculine, not karmic, not, you know, nobody. nobody will ever make you do something you don't want to do. And I mean, ultimately, you may do that and sweep it under the carpet for a little bit, but your truth is always going to arise. So delaying that and manipulating a person is never going to be a permanent thing, because that person, if they don't believe in that truth, they're going to outgrow it. So even if potentially, you know, feminines have done that or karmics have done that, ultimately speaking, divine masculine has their own mind and they will reach their conclusion themselves. When we're in the lower frequency of purging and healing and trying to make everyone happy, it's very much everything external to ourselves. When we then get to the realization that it's like a Libra, and at the moment Juno's in Libra, which is very feminine energy, it's a feminine archetype energy. It's almost like the scales being like this, where everyone and everything is up here, which is all external to ourselves. And in a spiritual sense, if we're constantly giving and we're depleting ourselves, we're getting sick, it's never on our side of the fence. It's always for other people. It's, you're going to topple, aren't you? And at some point, you're going to go, sod this. So it's not rocket science. The way they look at a person and what they're looking at right now in their life, they are tuning in very much to what their hopes and dreams were. And that was Queen of Pentacles energy. It was like, look, this was the dream. This was the thought. It didn't turn out that way, but this is what they're tuning into of what their self-worth is now. And directly for many, it will be a person who's not codependent, a person who really, because they're exhausted, they're really checking themselves. They're in their King of Swords energy, and they're thinking if they were to have to own another person's BS, they physically wouldn't have the energy for it. For many of you, this is their mindset of where they are, because they've seen this. They're like, no, like, I feel they've also, to the point that people that have portrayed themselves as being Queen of Pentacles, all together, all that, they're now saying they're doing nothing but rob their cup. At the same time, they spiritually know this inside themselves. They may have been trying to balance out childhood wounds, you know, with the solar plexus, with the sun being a Leo, family-related dynamics with the nodes being in Cancer, but having to work very hard in Capricorn, only to have their finances and their emotions ripped, and they're just looking at it and doing everything they can to balance everything out. But it appears that particular energies in a karmic sense aren't respecting boundaries nor working with them. So it's really going to come to a head here. Now, divine masculine is taking their energy of where their tribe is in their own mind forward. Now, this is the Chariot, and it's like moving forward, no ifs and buts about it. This energy has got that heavy, it's no longer maintainable. Okay? The Chariot can link in with Cancer, also energy of psychic energy, Pisces frequency, but it's moving forward, regardless of the Mercury retrograde. Like, no ifs and buts. This energy that is going to affect them is, how do I move forward? Okay? So it's ironic, because this is probably the first Mercury retrograde from an intuitive's perspective that I've felt it, for a lot of people, it may feel very tiring at the moment. And I think that's for masculines and feminines. I think feminines are attempting to maintain their frequency, but you've really fine-tuned your mindset connected to it. You've really looked at it from the perspective of going, right, okay, I'm tired, ebbs and flows, yep, trust, wind down. You're more productive then. Write lists. We're more, you know, to the point. We're going to have a lot of downloads, but there's probably too much information going on. There's too many areas that you're needing to deal with, which 12th house, again, is our subconscious mind, but it can be illicit affairs. It can be hidden situations, but it's ending a cycle to move forward. So it is very 12th house energy going on. Again, with it being a full moon, it's a release of something. It's what we have to let go of to actually liberate ourselves forward. So the strength can be coming from within, looking at a situation very realistically, and then weighing up the pros and cons with June of, okay, what are the responsibilities, with Capricorn energy? Because there's a lot of Capricorn. There's Mars in Capricorn, there's Saturn in Capricorn, there's Pluto in Capricorn, which is birth, deaths, and it's very, very accountable energy, okay? We're also already getting the nodal energy, in my opinion, coming through of Gemini and Sagittarius. So some of you are going to see there's an overload of information, which is very much linking in with Pisces energy. So on top of the Neptune frequency of, yes, psychic downloads coming, it's also the energies of things coming that is overload of information because it's too many areas to check. Then they're moving into the Eight of Swords in reverse. It's to the point of no matter what they do when they move forward, something's going to stop them. Now, this stopping, I do feel, is going to be a little bit after the Leo moon. 3-day situation transpiring that can be the purge of the ego. Now, again, as I mentioned, with the Pisces energy of the new moon, they're going to have more energy during that time. But at the same time, I do feel there's some 3D situations that may be playing out that can actually pause them, and they're going to see a lot of distorted frequencies, a lot of triggered people, a lot of aggressive bullies coming through. It can also be how they're reacting to the frustration of situations playing out. And it does feel as though they are feeling very oppressed, very manipulated. That even if they swept it under the carpet, it constantly is coming up and it's not resolving, and it's deeply frustrating. They're then knowing fully they need to move into the energy of the Emperor. And this is, you don't want to be messing with this man. I'm telling you, this masculine energy, they ain't playing. Because their intention this month is very much taking no hostages. I'm telling you, it's the energy of Jupiter is what you need to be paying attention to, masculines, because it's about the growth. But, if other people aren't taking accountability, there can be contracts coming up. There can be, tying energies connected. There's also, unable to do things the way you did, because the nodes next month are changing into, we're going to have the nodes in Gemini and Sagittarius. Sagittarius naturally is in Jupiter, but it's moving over to Capricorn. The energy of it being in Capricorn, right, is very accountable energy. So it's like the scales. Is that accountable? Is that all your responsibility? And if people and places and things aren't working with you, and it fatigues you, and it's not going anywhere ever, it's not transforming, resolving, and balancing, it's going to end up like this. You just won't be doing it. So you're looking at it. You do have heart. There's a lot of heart chakra activation at the moment. So it's almost like broken heart energy of trying to do things, but you're loving yourself now. You're actually understanding it's very deeply painful that some of this conflict wasn't what you wanted. It wasn't how you wanted it. But, we're not God. We can't control everything. Everything is divinely guided. And there is heartbreak in life because we want to make everyone happy. But it appears it has got to the point now in that pursuit of happiness and making everyone and everything happy, it has been now a cup that has been emptied to the point it's to the detriment of your health. You're trying to find that missing link, and that intuitive energy is what the key is. Which, when we look at it, the yin and yang in life is about you actually being allowed to have feelings, you actually being able to go into your thought process without being scrutinized for feeling something, with you being able to feel emotional without looking weak, because constantly having to be in the King of Swords energy or the Emperor energy is deeply responsible energy. And it has been because, both spiritual blockages you potentially had, as well as other people's expectations on you, have really placed you in this energy. your intent fully through this transit, where you stand today, moving forward, you want this cycle done. You're looking at a new world. It can also be to the point where you're looking at it and you're going, how is that going to look? How is that new world going to look? How is it going to be to the point where you can say, how can you bring that about? But it's happening nevertheless. And I do feel you guys energetically feel that no matter what you do, this is going to happen. Now, I've got to keep these pretty short and punchy. Now, the external energies on top of what's going on here that are actually really playing out. Yeah, see, I told you, a lot of Pisces energy, a lot of crown chakra activation, psychic energies. You're getting the downloads, overload of information. You're in the judgment energy. This is the external energy. It's like, it feels like Judgment Day. It's like D-Day. Right, we've got to get this done. This I can't do. This I can't do any longer. This is from your perspective, masculine. It could also be that there is a judgment coming up, that there is a contract, a partnership. Again, Juno is in Libra, so this could be the Juno in Libra energy. It might be you're dealing with air energy. There's a lot of change in the air in general. Now, people may not be accepting the fact that you've changed. And again, the fact that you've changed is like an expectation. No, you need to be here. We're making judgment. But the energy has been changing all the time. The world has been changing all the time. Uranus in Taurus likes things to stay the same. The subject matter with my daughter came up this morning, and we were talking about change and the Aquarian energy. Saturn is going to be retrograding next month into Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is very tribe orientated. They're deeply social creatures. So all of us are looking at, how do we interlink? And really lessons that we can learn is how we can be uniquely ourselves without having the expectation that everything has to fit. And that's a big thing to purge. Egos can be coming in where we're all feeling everything's got a link, and it just doesn't, not always, right? But that whatever that new world's going to be, we do need to trust in that process. And when we feel guilty because we're trying to do everything perfectly, it's impossible. Ten of Swords in reverse. Expectations. Not accepting the ending. This can be like, what does this end mean? Is this the end? Can I proceed forward? What is this going to look like? I do feel a lot of people around them are preventing them from having this ending, from having this judgment, from having this clarity and balance. Expecting perfection when it's not possible. There's no such thing as perfect. The imperfect and these new beginnings, these new worlds, these new paradigms that we're moving into, with the nodes being in Cancer and Capricorn, is what does tribe look like? Many people have been having dynamics change in their families, some people passing with Pluto energy. And what that new energy means, can we connect now? Do we have tribe? Do we have a sense of belonging? Separating homes and people sharing care. It can be leaving a job and going into a new one. What do all these things mean? The uncertainty of Uranus Taurus and the fake perspective of safety in having a routine. Especially with fourth house placements, it's about your physical foundation. It's fine-tuning the art of evolution and change. I don't feel it's their energies. I feel it's the circumstances around them, and it's deeply rooted in obligations and expectations. I really don't feel this is their energy. They have been attempting to liberate themselves forward. They've made the choice already. They're in the King of Swords energy. They already made the judgment. And look at this. This is them batting off energies of people that don't want them to be them, that don't want this change. This Capricorn energy is really hitting them hard. It's almost like having two worlds going. The old world of the cleanup effect and the new world of what you're building, and we're all collectively doing that. So in the Capricorn energy of the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, the past energies are having expectations. You know, it's paying your dues, paying the ferryman so that old energy can go. It's very, very karmic energy. They're also fighting for what their rights are. You know, some of them could be going through court at the moment too, or even trying to have the fairness and the balance in situations where they can have what's owed to them at a spiritual level, at a humanistic level, at a personal right level. And I feel this is more from ending cycles and being fair in situations. It's like the give and take is not in balance. They feel they're wasting their time. It's also energies external are going in circles and not evolving. And this is why they, on their side of the fence, you know, that are trying to prevent and respect the fact that changes have happened. This could be a boss. This could be whoever it's linking into in a karmic sense. It's the tower keeps coming. They're seeing a similar pattern all the time. They're trying to focus on healthy people, healthy energies, things that can provide both for the past and the future. But this is very, they feel like nothing they're doing is working, so there's no reason to keep doing it, right? So it's funny because, you know, we do work with people, but when people aren't working with us, the finger game can start happening, but ultimately speaking, it's like we'll allow the cycle to end then. You or I will make the judgment. Cycles have been ending all the time. Right, they really have been. I mean, my life does not look like it did 20 years ago. I mean, I wouldn't want it to, quite frankly. Maybe during the time I was like, no, this feels safe, but in reality it really wasn't. Nothing's assured. We need to be flowing right now like a tree, and that's the way I described it to my daughter. Theoretically, looking at a person's mindset, you know, their conditioning, Aquarians are very social, they understand people, they're wanting balance, but they also want that interaction, that socialization. And then suddenly, if you don't have it, what does that mean? It's being able to be both energies, to be able to be very disconnected and very detached in a sense of being in your own energy. That's okay. I'll create my own fun. And then being able to interact with other energies. But the thing is, if those energies, and that was your pastime, and they weren't able to then hang out with you and they were toxic, or you would rather be dancing your own tune. Any questions? Now, I did say that I will be doing super chat questions after each session at $10. If you do have one, hit me now. Otherwise, forever hold your peace, and we're moving into how they're seeing divine feminine. I'm going to give you 2.5. And then we're hitting the hay to go to the next video. So for those of you that are here watching this session, I better write down the time frame so I can write down on the video when Super Chat started, which is 37 minutes. 4 DM. Yeah, the energy is shifting with communication at the moment. And it's ironic because it's in retrograde, but they're governed by Mercury, so one of their chakra points is that. What would you like to know, Giggle? Hit me. What do you want to know? Where did you have Christmas? There's a change occurring there. And also where you're going to have Christmas this year is going to be very different. There is good luck around you at the moment, in a sense that, you know, all the steps you're taking, finance is going to start picking up as well. So your financial aspects are, ooh, and there is someone around you that's very jealous. I do feel that, oh, there's a bit of jealousy here. I do feel your DM is keeping an eye on you. I don't know how, but I do feel that they're actually, something has happened. It's going to trigger them. It's probably in this energy, and you'll understand in the Divine Feminine section why that's so. But there's also, and this is coming up in the collective at the moment, you know, especially when I listen to other readings, because I had some signs this morning and I was like, there are people around, and that's why I was saying and explaining in this reading that, yeah, it won't be there next year. Oh, this year, sorry. It's going to be at a different location. It's going to have a very pleasant vibe to it. I'm having a very happy vibe with it, and it's going to be some of your hopes and dreams coming true. Your finances are going to be on track. And when it does come to your masculine, there are people surrounding this person that are deeply jealous of you, and they project towards this person, but what they're not understanding is that person has their own brain. You're not a manipulator. Any other questions? I also feel communication towards mid-month, if they're going to budge right about now. Yeah, but you're going to stuff them up, okay? You're in the Queen of Swords. Like, no playing. I'm not playing. Do what you got to do. You're like arse end of worries, like not worrying about nothing, not manifesting anything. Masculine ego energy, dealing with some conflict. It's also confirming the fact that, yes, this reading's resonating. Yeah, my name is a no, my number's a no. You got to let it go. And that's to do, you know what, it's not even to do with the person. It's just things that they're trying to finalise. I think that's being fair. It's giving them the respect they deserve to deal with the conflict that they have. That it's their world to do. And then what they need to do from there is very much in their ball court. Do you see my DM ending this cycle with his karmic? Hit me with it to tune in further. What zodiac sign is he? Because a lot of these energies this year, yes, and there's a pocket that are coming in this year, probably in the next few months majorly. But there's also another energy of group that are going through, and I will be doing a video on that. Well, Saturn's going retrograde, so yeah, I do feel so. Saturn is going to be in Aquarius, so there's a little level up energy. And even moving into Emperor energy, I'm seeing a lot of Saturn frequency coming through, because when I was doing a bit of a chart this morning with the Jupiter and Juno energy, we're going to have the nodes in Jupiter in Sagittarius, which is Jupiter, but you know, in the regressive sense, things that are going to come up are going to show our old ways. But currently Jupiter being in Capricorn means leveling up, and it's almost being in Saturn frequency. So to grow, being the physical king, and yes, I do feel so. There's a location related for this. Are they at a distance, love? Because I'm feeling something housebound. There you go. Yeah, separation. There you go. Separation. I'm seeing a house. I don't know why I'm seeing a house. Is it a two-story house? Do you know the type of home they're living in? Yeah, it's not lasting. See, that Jupiter energy, this is very much similar to Sagittarius on the card, right? It's not that, there's nothing to grow. And that's where the assessment comes in with the Jupiter energy. Masculines being Jupiter, growing, expanding, and, you know, their frequency being governed by that. In the old energy, potentially, yeah, they could do that. Now with the heavy energy of the Capricorn frequency coming through, it's a leveling up and seeing things for what they really are. But I am seeing a two-story house for some reason. I don't know what that relates to. That could be currently where you live, but they're showing me a physical two-story house. So whether that relates to your house or theirs, yeah, there you go. So it's like that's where and they're like sorting that out. That's what I'm being shown. So changing from one to the other. And I'm also seeing the ocean for some reason. I don't know why the ocean connects. But there's ocean view, either where they are or where they're going to, but they're saying ocean. Yeah, they're not liking it. Okay, we're going to pause here. We're going to jump over to the next video, and that is going to be how Divine Masculine is seeing you and why. How they're thinking of things.